Why, hello there, everybody. Welcome to another edition of me shooting the shit right at you. So hopefully you're wearing protective gear. There have been some nuances, some things that have been happening, as of late and such. There's a transitory period for a lot of people. I think every sign pretty much, it's just a universal kind of like time of alignment or derailment or what have you. Whatever you are on, you better be getting it, because you probably are getting it, actually, even if you don't want to be. The universe tends to give us the things that we ask for that we don't really ask for, you know what I'm saying? More often than we would assume or we would like, maybe sometimes. So it becomes a little bit of an arduous task to kind of disseminate and to figure out why things are happening. A lot of times it's linked right back to the tether that put it out there, that manifested it, which is you, silly buns. So yeah, I'm working on some music right now. Trying to make some shit happen, some kind of cohesive whatever. I have a session tomorrow. I'm gonna be recording with a friend of mine, doing some creative exploration of, sounds and design of sounds and such. And I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lovely time. Something I don't know about y'all. I don't know who is creatively affiliated or aligned or finds joy in creative things. I feel as though there's something to be said for working with someone else who's kind of as open and receptive and all that as you are. Because I'm not passive by any means. Like, I'm not going to just let anything happen. I'm not a submitter. I mean, that can be argued, but it's not something that I do make a habit of, if you catch my drift. So, in any situation, though, I think that it's important to have kind of like a passion, to have kind of an end goal in mind, or at least an idea, and be working silently, and vigorously, valiantly toward that. Therein lies the rub, I think, where a lot of people get, things wrong in this day and age of technology and social media and such. I feel like some people are a little bit too concerned about their presence, in that respect, and so they're online, like doing live videos and stuff all the time, not talking about shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't really know. I guess, showing your personality is important and stuff like that, and that's something that I probably need to learn to do more, because I'm sillier. I used to be silly. I'm pretty, funny when I allow myself to be, but I have been on this, path where I've been very serious for quite some time, kind of because of the nature of the things that have been happening in my life for the past few years. They've been of a more serious nature, not to, drudge up an old dead hooker or whatever, but I had cancer. I went through that. That was kind of like an arduous experience. It was a little bit difficult. It was a little bit draining. And I had found myself, I just moved back up to Atlanta at that time, not too long before that. And I was working full time. And I was kind of in the process of potentially, touch and go, reconnecting with people that I used to be friends with up here. And I was just working a lot and stuff. And so after a while, the excuse that I had sounded kind of, I guess, trivial and stuff, and people just wrongly assumed that I was trying to blow them off and whatever, because I would commit to, I guess, a specific days. They'd be like, "Do you want to hang out this weekend?" I'd bump into them and I'd be like, "Yeah." Like, they're like, "Okay," so trying to like get me to say, so I'll see you there at like 8:30 or whatever. I'd be like, "Just call me," because I would get really bad anxiety about that, because at the time I don't know, I didn't, not that that wasn't a priority, but like it's hard for me in the past few years, like when you know better, you got to do better. And in the past several years, I just have found myself in a position where it's hard for me to like really justify going out and spending money, doing things like it's a celebration of sorts, because going out kind of is a celebratory event that I think we take for granted. And that's the thing. When I was younger, I went out a lot, celebrating fucking like having a festive bowel movement. Like it didn't matter what, I was just ready to celebrate. But now I feel like I've done enough of that, and it's not that I'm against it. It's not that I'm like, whatever, a party pooper or anything. It's just that I feel like, for me at least, I need to be able to feel a sense of pride and accomplishment, to be able to enjoy and immerse myself in an environment where I'm just like kicked back and like enjoying myself, and like, I don't feel like deserving of that necessarily without having put in the work. And even having put in the work until you get to the end result, it's just hard for me I mean, this comes from someone who doesn't really masturbate, so like I am all about the self sacrifice or whatever. Isn't it self-sacrifice? The non-self pleasure layers, kind of kind of tend to do that. Edging in all aspects of life. I don't like to edge like in the that sense for too long because lest your tiddlywinks fall off or something from overexposure to Vaseline, in my case. Not because I'm cheap, just because it goes fast, and that's you might as well. I mean, anything works. Not anything, but I don't know how we got on that topic. Thanks for disrupting and throwing me off my game. Awesome. So, yeah, there's something to be said for a lot of things, and I plan on saying a lot of them, too. But I'm also starting an Anchor podcast. I just, recorded a kind of intro segment thing or whatever. I don't really know how to do this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm doing it right or whatever, and I've been, for a long time, I feel like I've been pushing against the grain, like, wanting to put myself out there a little bit because I've become more of a recluse than I used to be. I was very much a social butterfly, throughout life, but increasingly so during high school years and college. I was a regular fucking party animal or whatever, and it's like I have strayed very much from that because I feel like it led me to a place where at the tail end of all of that I found myself in a position where I wanted to do something. I wanted the things, the pursuits, the passions that I have. I hadn't really found all of them yet or like really dug into them, so on the tail end of all that, kind of I disappeared for a little bit and found myself in whatever, decided what I wanted to do, and then coming back into into the living social, world. People kind of were like, oh yeah, there's, what's that, bro? That kind of thing, and like, that's cool and everything. I don't mind that, but it just kind of bothered me that I've realized at that time that I had demeaned or denigrated myself to a point where I was like, there's a disparity between like me, like my, I guess persona, and somebody who was like reliable or what have you. Like loyalty has never been something that people have questioned from me. Integrity's not either. Moral, ethics, I have all of these things, all of these great, rather confining sometimes, character plusives or defects, depending on who you talk to, but they kind of keep me, a little bit focused. If not for them, I might get a little too wild and crazy. But I just feel like there's something to be said for like the kind of the one who I always talked a lot and stuff. So like, I've said a lot of there's been a lot of hot air that has escaped my mouth, a lot of loose-lipped nights and such. And I feel like, as much as I like to be frank and I like to not have a filter and stuff like that, I've felt the need, and I still feel the need, and this is probably why I've kind of like, I'm now kind of trying to slowly re-emerge from my cocoon or whatever into the world, because I just felt like not that I owe anyone a fucking apology or an excuse or anything like that, but I just felt like I needed to have something to show for, my time away or whatever, or at least have like a more succinct kind of concise like vision of myself and my path, one that was maybe unadulterated by the opinions of others. It was like not marred by any kind of association or like I guess connection, attachment to what other people wanted me to do, because my whole life I kind of let that lead me. I don't think I've ever like said it like outright in like a public form or anything like that, but I am kind of a faggot, a little bit, kind of a gay, not my fault. Tried to fight against it for a long time, and I thought that for the longest time I thought that I was going to hell for being that way, and so I used to punish myself when I was a little kid because I felt so out of control. It bothered me so much that I couldn't be normal. Not that that's like, it's not really a huge thing because it's not a huge thing anymore, but I'm a little bit older than some of y'all. I was born in 84. So back when I was in high school, it's like there was not any room for that kind of thing, and I was just like mortified anyway, just because of what I had internalized as a Latino man, boy, man, whatever. And I just knew that like my role was not one to like lie down with other men. That didn't seem like it was not taught to me that was something that was okay. It was still kind of an era of like shaky, you know, shaky kind of morality about that, and like and same thing with drugs too, which now is kind of like the complete opposite, which is weird and uncomfortable for me. There's something to be said for like when I remember when Lil Kim Hardcore came out, and I was in like middle school, like 8th grade or something. And I used to listen to the CD, and like the intro track is like the guys at the movie theater. He's like, "Let me get like a small popcorn, a large butter, and like a lot of napkins." Then he goes in there, and you hear like movie in the background, and then you hear like and like slapping and stuff, and like moaning, and then you hear like. And it's like, yeah, Kim, work it, bitch. And then it goes right into I used to be scared of the dick. Now I throw lips to the shit. Handle it like a real bitch. Shit. And so I used to, like, turn it real low because I was terrified of my mom hearing that. And she would have flipped out. She saw, later on, like, the next year or something, she saw, like, Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe, like, the cover in my room. And she, like, her eyes got really wide. She's like, what? And freaked out. She's like, this devil. And she, like, tried to throw it away. But I was like, it's not even in there. Like, I lost it forever ago. Someone stole it or something. So... and then the thing I might blame for my proclivity toward the homosexuality maybe could very well be the fact that when I was a child and I got a stereo system, thanks Dad, when I was 10 in 5th grade, a CD player, the interface, receiver, and I got a few CDs. So my first CD was Green Day Dookie, then Crazy Sexy Cool, TLC. Then my third one was Snoop Dogg Murder Was the Case. Well, upon listening to that CD at some point, there's a song called Pussy on it. Very plainly, it's Pussy. I can't remember how it goes. Remember, there were a lot of pussies, though. It was kind of like something of a, it was just important part of the song. So I guess my mom heard it from across the house, and she came storming to my room and, like, swung open the door. She's like, what is that? It's like freaking out. She always made that vulture kind of pterodactyl sound whenever she was angry. And we were in private sector. If we're in public sector, she'd do one of these. And I love you, Mom. It's funny now I laugh at it, but I was terrified of you when I was a kid. She'd be like, if we did something wrong, she'd be like, look around, and she'd be like, and then look us dead in the eye. And just grab our arm, not even like squeeze, just like grab very lightly and be like, do you want to go to the bathroom? Like gritting her teeth like that. Let me tell you, I never wanted to go to the bathroom. I never went. I never went that far because I was terrified. Rules were not made to be broken back then. That's for sure. Not if you wanted to keep your balls. But anywho, so she made me return it. So I returned it, and in the place of that, I got Madonna Bedtime Stories, which we all know what that means. You know what I mean? What came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. Maybe Madonna Bedtime Stories came first, and that's what happened. But yeah, so I think that there's a lot of nuances, a lot of things nowadays that kids kind of, they're taught to value themselves and to not repress characteristics of them, make them different. And it's okay. And not only is it okay, it's like amazing and awesome and like superlative to have like differences and be like a little bit, quirky, or have some kind of like, fixation, or not fixation, probably is not a good word, but like some kind of like, whatever. The things that I like, the dorky kind of shit, nerdy, whatever, because I'm kind of a nerd. I know a lot about a lot of things, and I'm really into ancient civilizations. I'm into aliens, extra dimensional beings. I think is probably a more accurate representation of that. And then just like all these other things. I have a very broad interest. Like movies. I love music. I created Avi and stuff. So, all the specificities, like the things that I was kind of like details, because devil's in the details and everything. The stuff that I was really intrigued by and searching for, like they weren't really considered to be, cool. So I kind of had to like, I probably would be a little bit more advanced in some of the things that I'm into now if I would have accepted myself at an earlier age, I guess is what I'm saying. So kids these days don't know how good they have it, and I'm hoping that they're going to turn out okay, because there's a time and a place, so it's like you had to act, even if you were sucking dick on, on the weekends at like fucking Jose's sleepover or whatever, you had to make sure that there were no dicks anywhere in or around your mouth, like even remotely, when you're out and about in the rest of the world. But these kind of things don't translate now because people are themselves 100% of the time, or trying to be something else 100% of the time. Either way, or some kind of mixture. But you know what I'm saying? I think you can dissect that one on your own time. I'm not going to do it for you. But I'm going to let you go for now. We're going to talk later. But I hope everyone is having a blessed day. And yeah, happy fucking Monday. Another week. And away we go. All right? Bet. God loves you.